All right, we're gonna start our first session with just a nice gentle warm up. It's very yoga based, you'll notice. So Hannah's just gonna lie on her back or in the supine position. And we're gonna take a few minutes here to focus on breath work. So she's going to have one hand on her chest and one on her belly. And as you can see, she's breathing into her stomach, just letting it rise and go down. So you can lie here for about 3 minutes. And she's just gonna abdominally breathe. You can also do the same thing in child's pose if you would like to, but for the purpose of today, we're gonna start just on your back, just activating that abdomen. Breathing with the diaphragm, as that's a very important part of the core in stabilizing that low back and in postpartum rehabilitation. From here, she's actually going to bend her knees. She's gonna bring her knees in towards her chest. You're gonna give yourself a nice little hug, and she's gonna continue with that abdominal breath, pushing her belly into her thighs. Go only as far as is comfortable for you. And same thing, you can lie here for a minute or two, just taking deep belly breaths. From here, she's going to do a few sessions of windshield wipers. Her knees are just going to go side to side, trying to keep those shoulders on the mat, keeping that breath in the belly and using your core to rotate those legs side to side. Once that low back is warmed up, she's going to pause in the middle, and she's going to cross one leg over the other. This is called a reclined pigeon, also a very good glute stretch. She can reach behind that leg. So keeping the foot crossed over the knee, she's going to reach behind her thigh and gently pull the knee towards her chest. Focus on keeping, again, those shoulders rested on the mat so that you're not using all your upper body strength. And again, keeping that breath into the belly. You can switch sides, crossing that left knee and ankle over her thigh, reaching behind that right leg, shoulders relaxed, allowing the tension of the arms to naturally bring that knee in towards her chest. And here you should feel the stretch more into that left leg. And she's going to take some deep breaths. From here, she's going to relax those legs and bring both her knees to her chest and give herself a nice hug. If you want, you can just hold it here. You can tuck your chin in towards your knees. You can even rock side to side. All the while breathing into your abdomen. When you're ready, you can allow those heels to find the mat. And she's gonna sit up and make her way into the plank position, or quadruped pose onto all fours. From here, she's gonna take some deep abdominal breaths. She's gonna look up towards the ceiling, let her mid-back fall, arching that low back. She's gonna go into a process of cat-cow. When she's looking down, she's tilting that pelvis forward. Again, do this at your own pace, finding your breath at each position. Tilting that pubic bone up towards the nose while she looks down, letting the low back just sink and arching towards the back wall when she extends. Maintain that pressure into the mat Pushing down with your shoulders, that's going to activate and stabilize your shoulder or your rotator cuff. She can take a deep breath in, and when she breathes out and lets go, that's when she's going to move into the other pose. When she's ready, she'll return into just a nice all fours position. She's going to come onto her toes and get into a downward dog. From here, you can choose to breathe and hold the pose, or you can alternate bending those knees left and right to warm up those hamstrings. She'll bend those knees and come back into a plank position. And when she's ready, knees to the ground and getting into that child's pose. And reaching forward with those fingertips, sitting back on your heels, taking deep abdominal breaths. The breath and the diaphragmatic movement impacts the pelvic floor, and that's what we're warming up to do these next few exercises.
So in this next section, we're going to be looking at posture and helping to really open up the mid-back and through the thoracic spine, through the shoulder blades, get the shoulders moving. So we're going to start with 10 band pass-throughs. So Dr. Katrina is going to show what that looks like. So you're going to start, we have an elastic band that she's using, but you could use something like a broom handle or a meter stick, really something that's straight that you could go up and overhead. So you can see she's keeping her arms straight, going from front of body, straight overhead to the back. You can take this at your own pace. If there are any limits, don't push too far. So once she's done 10 of these, we're going to move on to 10 band pull-aparts. So we're going to focus on breathing through all of these exercises. So deep belly breaths. And again, we're using a band here. She's going to pull straight apart, pulling her arms into a T, focusing on breathing, arms nice and straight. Just a slight bend in the elbows so they don't buckle. You can see she's keeping her arms nice and straight. They're not falling down below her shoulders too far. Again, take this at your own pace, to your own comfort level. So from here, we're going to get down onto the ground, and Dr. Katrina is going to show us how to get some rotation into our T-spine. So she's going to get down on all fours, hands to the ground, knees right under hips. So she's in a great position there. And now she's going to push into the floor with her right hand, and her left hand is going to go just and cup the back of her neck, and she's going to start doing T-spine rotations. So she's going to move that left elbow up towards the sky and rotate. And then move inwards. Try to get that left elbow in towards the armpit or into the right side of the ribs. And make sure you're focusing on your breathing, deep belly breaths throughout this exercise. You can see she's going nice and slow, very controlled movements. And now she's gonna turn over to the other side. And we're gonna balance everything out by doing the exact same rotation, but on the opposite side. So left hand is gonna go into the floor, hips are still over the knees. Right hand is gonna come to the nape of the neck, cup around there, and she's gonna rotate up, and again, bring that elbow through to the left side. She's gonna match the other side by doing 10 reps of this. Keep focusing on breathing and just moving at your own pace. So now we're gonna get onto the floor and we're gonna go over the dead bug. So we're gonna have you laying flat on your back. So you can start with your hands on your hips. So imagine that around the abdomen you've got a corset. So those are your TVA muscles. So what you wanna do is imagine that that corset is being cinched in or tightened. So what I want you to do is imagine that tightening and actually feel your hands come inward towards the midline. So you're gonna contract all those muscles. Perfect. And then you're gonna shift your pelvis. So imagine there was a string just on the top of your pubic bone going up to your chin. So you're gonna have that come upwards towards your chin, and you're gonna focus on your breathing for the next couple of minutes. So deep belly breaths. With each breath, those abdomen muscles, the TVA, coming inwards, keeping that pelvis tilted. If you're in the correct position, you're gonna have a flat back on the floor. So you're not gonna be able to fit anything underneath your back. And just keep deep belly breaths at your own pace. So after you have this breathing, what we're gonna do next is have your legs come up to a 90-degree angle. So you're gonna keep breathing just as you have been, keeping that TVA activated, the pelvis tilted, no space underneath your back. And you're gonna practice your breathing with your legs in this 90-degree angle. So you can have your knees out just a little bit further than your ankles, and you can keep your feet flexed up. After doing about 5 deep breaths, if you need a break, you can put your legs back down on the floor for a moment. A couple breaths here, and then when you're ready, your legs will go back up to a 90-degree angle. And what you're gonna do now is you're gonna extend one leg at a time outwards. And while doing this, you're not gonna go past a level that's comfortable for you, but you're gonna keep focusing on your breathing, making sure that the abdomen is nice and engaged. Those muscles around the abdomen are going inwards towards the belly button. Pelvis is tilted up, no space under your back. And you're gonna alternate legs for 5 reps each. And at any point, if you need a break, you can rest your legs. Perfect, so take a break, and with each of these progressions, never go beyond what you're comfortable with. As long as you're still feeling well with these movements, you can move on to the next progression. So you'll have your legs up in a 90-degree angle. Again, your knees slightly outwards from your ankles, feet flexed. You're gonna focus on your breathing, engaging those abdomen muscles, Imagine everything cinching inward, no space below the lower back, pelvis tilted, and you're now gonna have your arms upward. So with your arms staying straight up, you're gonna do those exact same movements that we did with the legs before, extending one leg at a time, back and forth. You can do these movements with your breath. So with each exhale, you'll extend each leg. And when you come back, be sure to keep your legs in a 90-degree angle. And don't forget about your breathing. Perfect, so take a break, and if you're still feeling great, then what we can do is move on to the next progression. So after a couple deep belly breaths, we're gonna go back to those legs in a 90-degree position, knees slightly out from the ankles, feet flexed. Arms will go up in the air, and now what we're gonna do to move on from that last progression is we're going to extend opposite legs and arms, and while doing this, making sure to keep focusing on that deep belly breath. Keep those abdomen muscles engaged. TVA is activated. Everything is cinched in towards the midline. Still no space under the back, and the pelvis is tilted up towards the chin. These movements can go very slow, go only at the pace that you're comfortable with. So with each of these progressions, we're doing 5 reps on each side, and you can do this 2 rounds. If at any point you feel that something has shifted, your back isn't flat on the ground, or your pelvis is in a good position, take the time to reposition and then start again.
All right, next we're gonna get set up for a modified side plank. So we're gonna come down onto our elbow, making sure our elbow is below our shoulder. We wanna make sure our hip is in line with our shoulder as well, so we're not rotated forward or back. So hand on that waistline again, so we can feel ourselves breathe and feel that activation of the TVA pulling in again towards the midline. So from here, we're gonna take a deep breath in. And when we breathe out, we're gonna raise that hip up off the ground and back down. So again, breathe in, belly breath, breathe out, and raise. So a cue for this is when we let go, we go. So when we let go of that breath, we're gonna raise up. So she's done 3. We're gonna do 8 to 10 on each side. Again, nice and slow, making sure you're maintaining that breath. This is activating the TVA as well as those obliques, just raising that hip up. It's modified because the knees are on the ground. Pay attention to if you feel any discomfort in the shoulder. Only do what, again, you're comfortable with. Now next, when we raise up, she's gonna breathe in and out, raising up, and she's gonna hold this position and try to take a deep belly breath in and out, maintaining that TVA core contraction. 1 more breath in and out, and lowering back down. Phase 3, this is preparing for that. She's going to take a deep breath in, raise up using those obliques, and then she's going to open up those knees. And close. And back down. So breathe in, out, opening up, closing, and back down. She can move her hand onto her hip, a little lower, because what you're going to feel here is the glute med and minimus activating. Those are the glutes more towards the back and in the front of the hip that really stabilize that hip joint. So again, breathing in and out, raise, open, close, and lower. Again, doing 8 to 10 of these. If you start to feel any kind of pain or tightness in the front of the hip, make sure that your body is still nice and stacked and you're using your glutes rather than the front of your hip. So you may need to rock that pelvis back. Okay, next we're going to switch sides. So same idea, elbow underneath the shoulder, hand on the hip or on the glutes. We're going to take a deep breath in into the belly, and when we breathe out, we're going to tighten that core towards the midline, feel that TVA activate, and back down. Trying to maintain that core contraction, so we're not letting go each breath. We're just keeping that contraction on and trying to breathe in the belly. When we exhale again, that's when you'll notice she's raising her hip up towards the ceiling and back down. So we're going to do about 5 more reps. Take it nice and slow and break on the exhale as necessary. One progression we can do is in that static position. When she raises her hip up, she's actually going to keep that contraction on. Take a belly breath in and out, and breath in and out, and lower. So that's going to prepare now for phase 3, where we're going to add in the opening of the knees to really activate those glutes. And we're going to get a little bit of quad and hamstring in there as well. So she'll breathe in, breathe out, core is tight. Again, tilt that pubic bone forward. And when you open up that leg, you should really feel those glutes activating. So that's 3. We're going to do, again, 8 to 10. You should feel those lower obliques activating, the ones towards the mat, pushing that elbow and that hand into the mat to really support that shoulder. And for an added challenge, again, you can hold any position for as long as you like, focusing on that breathing while maintaining the static plank. Excellent.
Next, we're going to demonstrate some exercises that are going to help with the glutes. So first, we're going to start with glute kickbacks. So we're going to do 2 rounds of these, 10 reps each. So first, we're going to have you in position with your hands right underneath your shoulders, your knees on the ground, everything nice and stable and comfortable. You're going to make sure you tuck your pelvis forward. So make sure that your back ends up having a very flat surface. And from here, you're going to start with one side, and you're going to extend your leg straight back. While doing this, making sure that you keep your pelvis tilted forward and nice deep belly breaths. You're going to do 10 of these on each side. And when you're finished that round, you'll go to the other side. So again, you're gonna make sure your elbows, shoulders, and wrists are all in line. You're gonna make sure your hips and knees are over each other. The pelvis is tilted forward. Doing deep breaths, keeping the abdomen nice and engaged. Kick that foot straight back. Perfect. Next, we're going to do what we call glute hydrants. So you're going to be in the same position as you just were for the kickbacks, but this time you're going to make sure that your leg goes straight out to the side. Imagine you were near a fire hydrant, and then kick the leg straight out and then go back and bring it back in. So you're going to do again 10 of these for 2 rounds. Keeping in mind the same things that we looked at with the kickbacks, the pelvis tilted forward, nice engaged abdomen, TVAs engaged, deep belly breaths. We're gonna kick out to the side, straighten the leg, and straight back. If at any point you feel like something is not where it should be, take a second to pause, reposition, you can stretch it out, and just focus on tilting that pelvis, keeping the back nice and straight, leg out to the side, straight out and back. And then you're going to switch to the opposite side. Hands straight underneath the shoulders, elbows, wrists all in line, hips over the knees. You're going to tilt that pelvis forward, making the back nice and straight. You're going to bring the leg out to the side, kick it out, and straight back. You're going to go at your own pace. If you do find that your wrists are sensitive, you can go up onto your knuckles, again keeping them straight underneath the shoulders. Once you're finished, you can go into a recovery pose, such as child's pose. Send the hips back, keep the arms out. For a little bit of extra engagement, you can raise the elbows up off the mat with your arms stretched out straight.